morning. It is Monday, August 31st, 2015. This is your morning edition on I-24 News. Coming up later today, Europe is facing its biggest migrants crisis as a record number of 107,500 refugees crossed the continent's borders last month. In essence, it's the largest migration of refugees since World War II. Thousands of people take part in a rally in Beirut in protest of the government they say is corrupt and ineffective. And later on the show, something lighter for the end of summer, ice cream with a twist. We go to Tel Aviv's newest ice cream joint, where vanilla isn't the only thing on the menu. Good morning, I'm Yael Avi, and we begin in Europe today. The continent is facing its largest migrant crisis in decades. Germany, France, and Britain are set to hold emergency talks next week in Brussels on the escalating refugee crisis. Now, the police in Austria say 3 Syrian children and their families who were rescued from a minivan containing 26 migrants have disappeared from the hospital where they were being treated. Their discovery came a day after 71 bodies thought to be migrants were found on a dumped lorry in Austria. It is the largest in a series of tragic events as more and more migrants or refugees attempt to reach Europe by land or by sea. A record number of 107,500 migrants crossed the European borders just last month. We're joined in studio by journalist and author Aviram Golan. Good morning. Thank you for being with us. Now, before we break this down, let's take a look at the following report about the latest from Europe and the refugee crisis and break it down from there.
Concrete measures. That's what Germany, France, and Britain are calling for Sunday, issuing a joint call for an urgent meeting of European Union ministers to cope with the escalating migration crisis. Unprecedented numbers of migrants are reaching EU borders, surpassing 100,000 in July alone and reaching more than 340,000 this year so far. And Europe is struggling to find a policy to cope with calls for tighter uniform rules. Hungary, facing an influx of migrants on the Serbia border, has begun fingerprinting those entering its territory.
The refugees are afraid of the Hungarian fingerprint regime because they are well aware of the fact that if their fingerprint is recorded in Hungary, then legally there is the opportunity for any Western European country to send them back to Hungary.
The Netherlands, for its part, is set to toughen its asylum policy by cutting off food and shelter for people who fail to qualify as refugees, raising the key question of who would be able to qualify and at what cost. Alongside discussions, the reality is jarring. On the coasts of Italy, bodies continued to wash up Sunday, another migrant journey across the Mediterranean ending in disaster.
They discovered yesterday 2 dead bodies drifting in the sea. With no connection to a SAR event, we don't know what has happened to the dead bodies. But of course we're taking them on board and storing them in our cooling container, and then we will start the identification work.
Italy and Greece are 2 of the countries in which the 28-nation EU bloc has called for reception centers to be set up urgently to register new arrivals. On Saturday, the European Union held a rescue drill off the Libyan coast in preparation for dealing with further sunken vessels.
I have a daughter back home. She's 6 months old. And at one time, I had to pick up 2 infants, approximately the same age as her.
These rescue teams have their work cut out for them. As for those fleeing war-torn Libya and Syria, there is nothing left to lose.
We understand death is here. We are prepared to die. This is a journey of death, and we know we don't even have a 1% guarantee of making it.
For Ahmed and many others like him, the final destination is a passport-free area of Serbia's northern border with Hungary. And for those fleeing far worse in their countries of origin to come to open EU countries, one question is still going unanswered. What will Europe choose to do with them next?
Let's go straight first to Geneva, where Joel Millman, spokesman for the International Organization for Migration, is standing by. Mr. Millman, thank you for joining us this morning.
Okay. Thanks for having me.
Tell us, first of all, I just want to quantify the numbers and, how many people have been trying to reach Europe over the course of the last several weeks.
Several weeks. Well, we're talking about tens of thousands. I mean, Frontex is saying 340,000 have entered the Europe this year irregularly. We understand that of that, about 250,000 or more, maybe 280,000 have been by sea. So that's principally Italy and Greece. Greece has outpaced Italy. It's about 8 times what came in last year through the same route. And that's the people we're seeing heading up through the Balkans and through Central Europe where some of these tragedies have occurred. You know,
8 times is extraordinary numbers that we're looking at, as has been mentioned over the course of the last several days. It's the largest migration of refugees since World War II. What are these people facing when they try to reach the continent?
Well, I mean, for many of them, the worst is over. They've left Syria, they've left the Horn of Africa, Afghanistan, Iraq. Those are the big countries right now, and they are finding that either in Turkey, where there's a pretty developed trafficking or smuggling network that is able to get them to Greece relatively easily, their troubles begin trying to cross the non-EU states north of Greece. Those who leave Libya are they have a much more difficult time in Libya. They're terrorized. The risks of death on the sea are enormous. We've had about 2,700 deaths this year, almost all of them in the the Channel of Sicily between Libya and Italy. And they actually have an easier time once they land because it's easier to get from Italy up to the rest of Europe.
Up to the rest of Europe. If you can stay with us, I'm turning to our colleague in the studio, Avirama Gulan, journalist and author. It's called The Black Route of Death from Syria. There was also an amazing article in The Atlantic the other day saying that for a mother, for a family, to put children on sea means that it's just unsafe in the land, that no mother will put her child on a boat if it's really that unsafe on the land. But you were recently in Kos, you were recently in Greece, an island that was much in the news as an island that has been receiving many of these refugees. Countries like Greece, can they even cope with this?
Of course they can't. They can't, and the point is exactly what was said a minute ago. The way there is a growing industry of smugglers throwing those people into the sea in those little boats, in the small boats, piles of people, of mothers, of kids, of very, very weak people who came all the way through from Syria,
Libya.
through Libya or through Turkey, because from Turkey they are driven into the sea by those smugglers, and they are thrown on the other side of it. Turkey, in Kos and Turkey coasts are very, very close. So when they arrive to Kos, when they arrive to this very, very poor island or very poor country as Greece is now, or even Italy, it can't really deal with those people. What happens really in Europe is that those poor countries have to deal with poorer people, whereas the richer side of Europe sits down and think about the solutions, and those countries like Hungary, Austria, and other countries are going to shut their frontiers in a very severe way, so those people can't
even move on. Mr. Millman, a spokesman for the International Organization for Migration, still with us. What do you think Europe should do? We know there's going to be some sort of an emergency meeting, although emergency seems to be almost redundant at this point, with so many people dying over the course of the last year in those seas. But what do you think Europe should do?
Well, the first thing I would say is it's not just Europe that should do things. We think the whole world community needs to come together, just as it did with the boat people 40 years ago leaving Southeast Asia.
Right.
There has to be a world effort for resettlement and also a world effort for peace in the sender countries. There has to be a ceasefire. There has to be a government that Europe can work with to start to manage this migrant flow. It's the same thing in Libya and elsewhere. There has to be a concerted effort to change the conditions in the countries that are sending these migrants, and then governments who can help police the borders and help manage, this kind of lawless flow. Those are things that are beyond Europe's responsibility and beyond Europe's ability. Certainly, Europe can be thinking about resettlement, humanitarian visas, temporary restraining, deportations. There's lots of things Europe can do. But the main thing is to bring stability to the sender countries at this point.
No, entirely. But I mean, not to be the cynic, but Aviram, I mean, I think we would all agree that to expect or to wait for the countries in the Middle East where these refugees are originating from, for those countries to settle down, so to speak, you know, that's almost like us waiting for the peace agreement between Israel and Palestine for about 30 years. But in wake of what is going on right now, what you saw in Kos, for example, was actually, it's a vacation island, isn't it?
It is a vacation island, and tourism is the main, if not the only, income of this island. This is not the problem. The problem is that Italy, Spain, and Greece, being the poorest countries in Europe, pay the large part and the heaviest price for this immigration movement. And I really tend to disagree with the Europeans when they say that they cannot deal with this problem. We remember very well, where history is, I mean, not very far in history, all those Europeans who left Europe because of famine, because of unemployment, because of diseases, went to the United States, went to Canada, went to New Zealand and Australia, and built new life in millions, Europe can, if Europe wants, deal with the problem. Europe can absorb a number. I won't say, I cannot say that Europe can absorb everyone now. And Europe is not the solution for all the world's entire world problems. But at the same time, we have to remember, we have to bear in mind that Europe pays the price now for years and years of colonialism. Europe cannot forget how and in what way it obtained its richness, its welfare. For years and years, Europe was there, even in Syria. Right. We have to remember that the Europeans were in Syria, in Lebanon, in the Middle East, in the Maghreb countries, in Africa, in Asia, etc., etc. And Europe really obtained so much wealth from those countries. It's only fair now. It's not fair to do it on the head, you know, on the price of Greeks and Italians, but the wealth of Europe and the wealthiest people in Europe can really make an effort to try and take these people.
And that's the question I think that we can, you know, beg to ask only from Jonathan Sachadati, I-24 News European contributor, London correspondent. Jonathan, you've heard what has been said here, be it, you know, Europe's, you know, not the demand, but the argument that Europe should pay back. At the end of the day, what can Europe do? When we're looking at this emergency meeting, there is a distance, well, not a distancing, but Europe doesn't want to deal with this on that type of a level, does it?
More than that, there's also the question of how Europe can deal with it, when Europe finds it very difficult to come up with a unified attempt to deal with anything. And really what we're discussing here is a meeting when we're going to see the 28 EU member states discussing how Europe can cope in real terms with this phenomenon of huge immigration increases. But the 28 EU member states don't often agree on very much in concrete terms. We have Germany expecting 800,000 refugees, asylum seekers in 2015, quadruple what it's used to receiving. We have these sorts of problems. Germany so far being fairly good about allowing that to happen unchecked, but that can't last too long with a population in Germany which is becoming increasingly anti-immigrant. Then you have other countries refusing to take in immigrants at all, some suggesting that they will only take Christian immigrants. This highlights really the differences across Europe of the member states and the difficulty in getting a unified, concerted effort that all EU member states will stick to and apply the same policies to. And that is the core of the problem, really.
Right. And Avrama, you wanted to say?
Yes, Jonathan, can you say that England is more strict than other countries in this area?
Yes, absolutely. The United Kingdom is being more strict on this and has not been part of all agreements to absorb as many immigrants. And in fact, the UK is also not part of the Schengen group, which will allow free movement across Europe. And the UK Home Secretary, Theresa May, has said that she believes that has exacerbated the problem. So again, even there, we're highlighting issues which show the differences between EU member states. And those differences are what will make dealing with a problem like this increasingly difficult, because those immigrants fleeing countries with war, extremism and tyranny are not obviously that bothered about the individual countries' policies and their quotas and how many each one is willing to take. Their main interest is to cross over the borders into Europe and seek asylum. So there's a clash really between the intentions of the two sides on this, and there's a problem when the EU member states can't find a way to agree and share that burden.
But Avirama and Jonathan, I'm theorizing out loud the fact that in many ways, the fact that we have this global so-called war on terror going on for the last 10 years is also going to make it hard for countries in Europe to agree on some form of a policy that says, okay, let everybody in and we're going to just put aside extremism, whatnot. So
yeah, but on the other hand, you have to remember that Germany, for one, have earned a lot have gained more than lost from, let's say, people who came, the immigrants who came from Turkey.
Right.
Some of which were clandestines and became citizens of Germany.
And everybody completely liked by everybody
of
still.
Of course
exactly.
not.
Europe does not like its immigrants.
But Germans know it. Yeah. Germans admit it. I mean, people really in Germany, like people, liberals like Joschka Fischer and others, remind us that they saved the German economy. So the matter is so complex, and it's not a question of Europe defending itself now, but Europe has to really consider its policy.
Its part in it. I really, I think that it's words to listen to. One of the hopes is that there will be some form of a unified way of dealing with this, because so many people have been dying over the course of the last year. Avirama Golan, I want to thank you for being with me in studio this morning. Jonathan Sachadati as well, and of course Mr. Millman from Geneva, as we move along. Back to the Middle East, where thousands rallied in downtown Beirut Saturday in the largest anti-government protest yet over a summer garbage crisis, chanting revolution and setting a 3-day ultimatum for authorities to respond to demands, including the resignation of a cabinet minister. The so-called You Stink protest, yes, that's what it's called. The You Stink protest campaign, ignited by a waste crisis, has widened to reflect anger at widely perceived graft in the political class and the state's failure to provide basic services. The protest signaled the most significant public outburst of anger against a dysfunctional system of government. But demonstrators have yet to chart a clear path towards change. Let's take a look at Mandy Kogosowski's report and break it down from there.
Over 10,000 people gathered in the streets of Beirut on Saturday night to protest political incompetence and corruption in the largest independently organized rally in Lebanon's history. The protesters called for the resignation of officials responsible for the current waste crisis in the country, which has been going on for over a month.
We, the Lebanese people, have had enough of the ignorance and failure we are facing. We are demanding our simplest rights as people. Are we seriously still suffering from a trash crisis? Where does this happen? In which country? We don't have electricity. We don't have water.
The waste crisis and subsequent protests began in the end of July, when the Ministry of Environment closed the country's largest landfill site without providing an alternative solution. The garbage piling up on the streets showed itself to be just a symptom of a much deeper problem, the political deadlock in Lebanon, with its ever-increasing sectarian rivalries. Demonstrators, mobilized under the hashtag #YouStink, are calling for the resignation of the environment minister and for rapid parliamentary elections, in addition to a quick resolution to the garbage crisis and better public services.
We are sick of all the electricity cuts, water shortages, trash problems, hot weather and smell. It's unbearable, and our children are in and out of the hospital.
I'm here today because my anger is so huge I just couldn't sit at home. I came to listen to the others that share this anger. We shouldn't nag without doing anything. At least my voice will reach a single politician who's misusing power.
On Saturday, the protesters issued the government a 72-hour ultimatum to meet their demands, pledging to step up their actions if there is no change for the better. But with the rallies, rhetoric, and general air so reminiscent of the Arab Spring, the situation might have already spiraled out of control for the current regime.
We're joined in studio by I-24 News senior Middle East analyst Ali Waqid. Good morning to you. With us also is internet and cyber threat expert at Kinneret College, Dr. Tal Pavel. Good morning to you. Good morning. Ali, I want to start with you. Are we looking, I mean, it's very moving to see pictures like that from Beirut, from the square, I think that is in West Beirut. But are we looking at an ultimatum that ends and then what happens? What can these demonstrators achieve?
I don't think that they can achieve unless the political echelon in Lebanon will come to a deal that will allow to give the citizen the basic service of collecting the garbage. Yeah, we should understand that there was a contract that ended last month, and Hezbollah camp is accusing the company that it was part of the Al-Mustaqbal party, that the first contract was given to the company by Saad al-Hariri, the son of former late Prime Minister Rafiq al-Hariri, and it is considering that the rival camp, in this case the Sunnite camp, is responsible for the collection of the garbage, and we should now this time give maybe another company, a Christian or a Shiite company, but this is not the point. The point is that now around every basic service in Lebanon, around every assignment, there is a debate, there is a whole battle around who will be the responsible for what. This norm in Lebanon that once it's Shiite and another time it's Sunnite, and dividing everything and sharing
it's a sectarian, It's a sectarian battle over garbage in some ways.
Absolutely, and this is why Hezbollah, the Minister of Energy is a Hezbollah member, and he is for the moment doing everything in order not to allow to renew the contract for the garbage collection. Yesterday there was an attempt to choose another company, but yet the Hezbollah and his allies did not approve the new company, and it seems that Hezbollah is trying to take some advantage of the fact that people are going down to the streets in order to try to clean what he called the corrupted class from the Lebanese police.
Or anybody who is not with that sect. And you know, Q and Dr. Pavel, if you're looking at the trends, because I think for all of us of Western persuasion, looking at those pictures coming out of Beirut, it's reminiscent somewhat of the Arab Spring circa 2011. And if you're looking at the traffic on the internet, when it comes to what's going on in Beirut right now, are we looking at trends that may bring a government down in a Middle Eastern country?
Well, the most important thing to remember that internet cannot bring a government down. It's physical protest, and that's the major important.
But spark or ignite it.
Yeah, we can see a Facebook page which is the most prominent campaign, which currently holds achieved around 160,000 likes.
Right.
It's the most important one, but we saw also relevant hashtag in Twitter, which is trash and you stink and things like that. But we saw all relevant, all sorts of posts, online posts, like something, why the garbage problem is exactly what we needed today.
Yeah, and we're looking at posts from the internet in Lebanon. That when you look at some trash should not be recycled, and you're looking at the government members.
The same thing we saw a post which tried to say who are the most stink politicians, exactly as we saw regarding 5-6 parameters. So we can see all different sorts of online presence that in this aspect of this garbage or trash campaign, but it's not the first time. We remember the Arab Spring protest, the Facebook revolt.
Exactly.
But 4 years ago, there was another campaign, another consuming campaign in Lebanon, to improve the connectivity, the service, and the price of the internet in Lebanon. And was it succeeded in a way, because there was a research that revealed that Lebanon is one of the slowest internet country regarding connectivity, upload and download. The same thing we saw in Egypt, not regarding the Arab Spring Revolt, but also connectivity. It was last year, January, March.
All right, but when we're looking
about the Arab Spring, I'm not sure that this is the case in Lebanon, because in Lebanon,
that's what I want to know.
The larger picture is that around the garbage crisis, there is of course a bigger political crisis between the two camps, between once again Saudi Arabia and Iran.
Exactly.
We should not ignore this issue, because any victory of Hezbollah, even around a small local issue like the garbage collection, will be considered as a victory of Iran and for Iran against Hezbollah, against Saudi Arabia allies in Lebanon and the Al-Mustaqbal and the moderate Christians. And this is why this crisis is very much complicated. And I'm not sure that even if the garbage collection will be solved, it is only the symptom of a larger crisis that Lebanon is living due to the involvement of Hezbollah in Syria, and due to the fact that Iran is losing in Yemen and is looking for another background to try to express its superiority or even its power over Saudi Arabia.
Over Saudi Arabia, which, I mean, in Lebanon, though, it does have some superiority. I mean, Hezbollah is quite very well entrenched. But finally, the question is, we're not looking at some form of an Arab Spring, rather more the discontent crowd.
In the sectarian division, in the sectarian atmosphere that Lebanon has been living, I'm not sure that we can see people from whole parties and ethnicities and religious joining the same struggle to improve their life, because there is no democratic problem in Lebanon. People can vote, people, there is the local elections.
In some way, there's a pluralistic government also, because all of them are represented.
Absolutely, and I want to say more than this. Lebanon appeared to be a very institutionalized country. It is living for more than 1 year without a president, which is the most important role in the country. And the institutions of the country, corrupted as they are, as much as they are succeeding to manage the life of the Lebanese, without any vacuum, any administrative vacuum. And this is something to admire the Lebanese, that in spite of all their divisions, are succeeding to do the minimum. But this minimum is apparently stuck for some people.
For some people. Ali Waqid, always a pleasure. Thank you for being with us. Dr. Pavel, same to you. When we get back, still in the Middle East, we're going to take a closer look at the Egyptian court verdict for the Al Jazeera journalist. Stay with us, a very concerning verdict. First, though, as in every morning, let's take a look at the morning headlines. It is August.
It is the last day of summer. School starts tomorrow. Thanks God.
The last day of summer.
Well, no,
for us, your children are grown up.
That's true.
Ours, sadly, still, some of us still have to feed their children physically.
Right.
Yes.
Tomorrow I breathe a sigh of relief.
Thank God for education.
Going to school.
Yes.
We made it.
We made it.
Okay.
We made it. We're alive. But we did not make the news. Well, we haven't made the news that you've missed while scanning the headlines. Bad transition, Yael Levi. But we're going to move it to your court, Mr. Ami Kaufman.
Good news for Egypt, kind of bad news for Israel and supposedly some Israeli tycoons. Egypt apparently found the largest gas field in the Mediterranean, natural gas field, found by an Italian gas giant called Eni. This is potentially very bad news. This is good news, first of all, for Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his country. This is going to bring them gas for apparently decades to come, that they won't have to rely on anybody else. They were going to rely partially on an Israeli huge gas field off the coast, just off of Haifa. Jaffa, called Leviathan or Leviathan. I don't know how you pronounce it, but now apparently that deal might go down the tubes.
Because they don't need it.
Because they don't need it anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
So this is bad news for, I guess, Israel. You know, Bibi Netanyahu was pushing for this, for the deal to go through with this gas field, and Israelis were very angry about it, about the prices.
It makes it all very interesting, and I think it's nature kind of, you know, rearing its head and making decisions for other people in the region, in some ways. Yes.
The carnage in Yemen continues on a daily basis. The Saudi-led coalition airstrike on a factory in northern Yemen killed about 36 civilians, people that were working in the factory. We have a report about it. Let's check it out.
Let's take a look.
Despite ongoing attempts to end a bloody conflict, the chaos in Yemen continues. On Sunday, an airstrike by the Saudi-led coalition killed over 30 civilians working at a bottling plant in the northern Yemeni province of Hajjah. So far, over 4,300 people have been killed in the 5 months of fighting between loyalists of exiled President Abu Rabu Mansur Hadi, who is backed by Saudi Arabia, and Houthi rebels supported by Iran. The exiled president stressed Saturday that the fight against the Houthis is a fight against Iran's regional ambitions.
The Houthis will give Iran an unsuccessful experience. This experiment did not succeed in Iran, so how will it succeed in Yemen? We are now fighting a war to stop Iranian expansion in the region. Iranian expansion is now in Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon.
With air support from their coalition allies and freshly trained troops, supporters of the exiled president have managed to push the rebels from the port city of Aden and are currently fighting for control of the third city of Taiz.
Where Houthis entered Sana'a, they said they had occupied 4 capitals in the Arab world. We pushed them out of Aden and Lahij and Shabwa, and only in a few provinces fighting continues.
Now, the focus of the Hadi loyalists is to regain control over the capital city of Sana'a, which is held by the Shiite Houthi rebels.
Heartbreaking to see that this is still going on, but it is the Middle East, and as I just mentioned while this report was playing on, that it feels as if the Iranians are losing. Case in point.
You have to watch it day by day. I mean, the reports change I think it's kind of a seesaw, but I think you're right. I think definitely in the last week or so,
maybe
it
some
seems
sort of
like
momentum not that really matters when it comes to the casualties. And
staying in the Middle East, this is kind of a developing story that started on Friday, the usual Friday weekend protest in Nebi Saleh. Where we saw some pictures that went viral of an Israeli soldier that was trying to get hold of a 12-year-old who allegedly was throwing rocks at him.
Right.
But his family, including 2 mothers and his sister.
His family. Can I rephrase this? The women.
The women.
2 women. The family. Okay.
2 women and apparently a sister
and a girl.
Another teenager tried to. These are the pictures of it happening live. Tried to take. And by the way, the boy has a cast on his left arm, which apparently happened to him. He broke his arm a few days earlier in a raid that happened in his village just a few days earlier. Now, I just want to do a little media comparison. As we can see from the headline that Maan gave, was a Palestinian news agency, photos of family forcing soldier to release 12-year-old boy go viral. Okay, that's the Palestinian headline. I think it's actually fairly accurate. Let's see what the Times of Israel's headline is today, because it's kind of a developing story. There's more things happening. Parents urge firing of teacher seen at soldiers mobbing. Look at the word. That use of the word mobbing. A Palestinian, an IDF soldier was being mobbed by 2 women and a young girl.
Holding an
M16. And you, by the way, you can't see, by the way, the whole infantry brigade behind him.
Yes. No.
So, but by the way, look at that.
It's soldiers mobbing by 2 women, 2 middle-aged women, and what seems to be a 12-year-old girl, while he's holding an injured 12-year-old boy.
Now, listen, the development is that the parents of the pupils at this Israeli high school from Ramat Gan, it's called Ort Eben School in Ramat Gan, and one of their teachers named Herzl Schubert. By the way, I love the name. Herzl Schubert is a history teacher, and now the parents who saw video of him at the rally. You know, a lot of Israelis go to these rallies to protest with Palestinians. He wasn't part of the altercation with the soldier, but they saw him there on the video and say, we don't want him teaching our kids anymore. So this is a pretty sad development. And also the mayor of Ramat Gan, Yisrael Zinger, saying he wants the guy fired.
The mayor of Ramat Gan wants the demonstrator, the pro, okay, yes. I just, to me, and I think, and I'm wondering out loud, if, will the Israeli-Palestinian conflict change now that we have the the highway of information and pictures like that are more available? Probably not. Right. But my God, yes.
I'm going to go quickly to another area, the Bangkok bombing, which killed 20 people out of the Erawan Shrine in center of Bangkok. Police in Bangkok have charged a man in connection with the bomb attack. That's his picture. They found in his apartment a lot of Turkish passports and ball bearings and pipes that were apparently used for bombings. But that's pretty much all they have right now. This is not the man that they saw in that yellow shirt in CCTV who laid the bag and suddenly left the scene very quickly.
So what are they saying he is?
They say he's just connected. They don't know.
He's a people trafficker or a smuggler or something.
Or something like that, or in any event had a lot of explosives on him. Okay,
We've been talking. I want to skip this one. I want to go quickly to the New York Times, if I may. Oliver Sacks, a neurologist, famous neurologist, very prolific author as well, died at the age of 82. He was a man who wrote many, many books, such as The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, Awakenings. Awakenings was also a movie that was made into a movie that was starred Robin Williams. Very sad.
He came out with a column that he wrote about his illness?
I want to actually talk about that. Very quickly, I'm going to say this. He notified the world in 3 essays that were written in the New York Times in the past, since February, that he got cancer, terminal cancer. It was melanoma that started in his eye, spread to his liver. I just want to read the last paragraph that he wrote ever. It was an essay that I found very emotional. I could barely hold my tears back. It was called Sabbath. It was about the importance of Sabbath in human culture, and he concluded, this is what he wrote, his last paragraph. And now, weak, short of breath, my once firm muscles melted away by cancer, I find my thoughts increasingly not on the supernatural or spiritual, but on what is meant by living a good and worthwhile life, achieving a sense of peace within oneself. I find my thoughts drifting to the Sabbath, the day of rest, the 7th day of the week, and perhaps the 7th day of one's life as well, when one can feel that one's work is done and one may, in good conscience, rest. Beautiful words. Those were his last words in the New York Times in his last essay.
May we all end our lives in such a peaceful way.
Very interesting man.
Peaceful in such an acceptance. I think in many ways it's an acceptance. Thank you, Ami, on this somber, intelligent note. I feel unworthy. But we're going to move on to a very worthy woman as we move along. Moving to Egypt, actually, where an Egyptian court has sentenced 3 Al Jazeera journalists, Canadian-Egyptian Mohammed Fahmy, Australian Peter how do I pronounce it? Grest, exactly. Peter Grest, thank you. Thank you. And of course, Egyptian producer Bashir Mohammed to 3 years for operating without a press license and broadcasting material said to be harmful to Egypt. And reactions across the world have widely condemned that verdict. Egypt's foreign ministry summoned the British ambassador in Cairo after he said prison sentences handed down to 3 Al Jazeera journalists would undermine confidence in the basis of Egypt's stability. The United States also said in a statement Saturday that it was deeply disappointed and concerned. Of course, I'm joined in studio by I-24 News senior editor Ruthie Sinai. Ruthie, good morning to you. Yeah. Let's take a look at the following report and break it down from there.
Diplomatic fallout continues in Egypt following the sentencing Saturday of 3 Al Jazeera journalists to 3 years in prison after their retrial ended. The 3, Mohammed Fahmy, Bahar Mohammed, and Peter Greste, were charged with operating without a press license and broadcasting material harmful to Egypt.
There is never any evidence that the court presented, that the prosecutor presented either in the first trial or in the second, to confirm any of the allegations against us. And in fact, I'd like to publicly challenge the prosecutor to present evidence of anything that we produced that was falsified.
Greste, an Australian citizen, was deported back in February and does not intend to return to Egypt to serve what many see as an unjust sentence. The other 2, however, face time in prison. Al Jazeera is a Qatari-owned news network accused by its critics of supporting the Muslim Brotherhood, a political movement considered a terrorist organization by the current Egyptian regime. The prison sentences were received with criticism from the international community, while the government of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has been ruthless in its quest to enforce stability in the country.
But the question that is posed today is that stability going to be a fragile, temporary stability that's built on a shaky foundation which deprives people of their rights and undermines the freedom of the press and the freedom of expression? Or will it be a strong and enduring stability built on protecting the rights that are present in the Egyptian constitution and applying the rule of law.
These comments by the British ambassador were enough to earn him a summons to the foreign ministry, where they were condemned with strong objections as, quote, unacceptable interference in Egypt's judicial procedures. The U.S. State Department also said it was deeply disappointed and concerned with the ruling. In the immediate aftermath of the sentence, Amal Clooney, a lawyer for Mohammed Fahmy, reminded President al-Sisi of his own stated desire to have the whole situation resolved with the deportation of all 3 journalists instead of a trial.
President Sisi has said from the beginning of this case that he wishes the prosecution had never been brought and that he would intervene at the end of the judicial process to grant a pardon if the journalists were reconvicted. That's exactly what's just happened.
The Egyptian president may indeed be the only hope left for 2 men facing years in prison for fulfilling their journalistic duties.
We're going to go soon to Egypt. But Ruthie, I want to ask you, because something mind-boggling to me about this. Does this show that Sisi has no control over the court? Because it's a bogus, ridiculous, charge against journalists in a country where al-Sisi is trying to solidify his power.
Well, this started pre-Sisi, basically, and these journalists are pawns in a struggle between Qatar and Egypt and the Muslim Brotherhood. The Qatar owns Al Jazeera, which allegedly supports the Muslim Brotherhood, which Sisi is trying to
deposed.
So the friend of my friend is my enemy, and so on. Now, strictly speaking, these 3 journalists, yes, they were operating without a license because Al Jazeera had been shut down by authorities.
And I hate to say it, tons of journalists in Egypt operate without a license because it's so hard to procure.
Okay. Yeah. Now, as to the spreading lies part of it, this is where the judges in Egypt, I think, courts in Egypt, do not understand what press does, what media does. Reporting about what the Muslim Brotherhood says is not spreading lies. It's reporting. And this, happens in a lot of countries where freedom of expression and freedom of press are not enshrined and not understood. So that's one thing. And as our report said, Sisi just wishes this whole thing would go away.
But it seemed to doesn't go, and it seemed to just stick there in a way that, and I'm wondering also, let's go first to Cairo, where freelance journalist and Arabist Annabel Vanderberg is with us. Annabel, do the people of Egypt, let's first begin with, is the reaction in Egypt itself, rather than in the world and international media or us here sitting, in a nice air-conditioned, westernized studio, is the reaction from the people of Egypt, civilians, or any kind of outrage when it comes to this verdict?
Yeah, well, actually, here people are surprised, of course, but that is how we see it mainly among the community of journalists. If we look at the people in the street, people have forgotten mostly about the trial, and it is mainly the activists and the journalists in Egypt who are still thinking about it, who are still following the situation, and they are, of course, incredibly surprised that this was possible.
This was, and when it comes to Sisi itself, though, and I'm looking at in reportage about this case, because this seems to be a move back to it's a move back to Mubarak days. Okay, it's to solidify also the media and lock it down, and there's nothing but state media. Is there any kind of concern or outrage when it comes to that?
Yeah, for sure. What we feel as journalists is that it is not only the Al Jazeera trial, but it is also how there is a major crackdown on press freedom in Egypt for the last couple of years. And also under Sisi, there has been a crackdown. Journalists have not been able anymore to do their job as they should do, as they should be able to do. So yeah, we do feel that there is lots of pressure on our job.
And in that respect, when we're looking at that, Ruthie, and we're looking at what's happening in Egypt, I mean, these condemnations that come out from the international arena, what do they really mean?
Not much, but if I may, I'd just like to ask our guest from Egypt, do the courts, in fact, then reflect, kind of the Sisi's point of view about the media? And in that case, all these claims that Sisi would just like the story to go away, or is it because they're foreign journalists and what he's basically targeting is local journalists?
Well, he's giving, for example, the press center very strict instructions on how to treat journalists nowadays, and it's very difficult, for example, to get any press accreditations. Yes. So he does have a lot of influence and a lot of power, and also in the judiciary system, it is already known that the system is not neutral, so that Sisi does have power in that judiciary system. Now, what I think is that I mean, he is indeed our only hope for the Al Jazeera journalists to be freed by giving them a pardon.
Right.
But I think that if he does, that is only to show how strong he is again. So I see it more as a game of Sisi than that I see it as something that he really stands behind.
Then if he releases them, he becomes the savior. I want to thank you all for being with me in studio this morning. When we get back, ice cream in Tel Aviv. Stay with us. It's going to be yummy, apparently. First, the news. Welcome back. It is still Monday, August
31st.
Thank you. 2015, and this is still the morning edition on I-24 News, the place to be because I get to eat ice cream. That is the point of this, right? It's the point of this. Yeah. Ice cream, it's summer, everyone's eating it, but are you bored of vanilla? So many ways to answer this question. Chocolate and strawberry flavors. Well, a new shop in Tel Aviv has not only a fusion of new Middle Eastern flavors, but also an added touch of coexistence. Because if we can't get it on our borders, we damn well will get it in our ice cream. We're joined in studio by ice cream maker and owner of Booza, right?
Yeah, not owner.
Not owner, but creator of Booza Ice Cream, Adam Ziv. Good morning.
Good morning.
To you. Now, before you have also this array of amazing things to explain to us, and I'm mentioning it again that we have people in the audience, in the studio, so Ami and I can eat.
Right.
Essentially, that's what this is about. But before we break this down into the little pieces that this is, we are going to take a look at Gabi Weiniger's report and then discuss.
I'm here at Booza, a new ice cream shop opening up in Tel Aviv with a very special twist. Let's go inside and meet the owners. Hi, Adam. Hi. Booza owners Adam and Alla grew up in neighboring villages in the Western Galilee, but they never met. Adam had a dream to open up an ice cream parlor at his home after learning about gelato in Tuscany and sought to bring it home, back to his roots. But he didn't want to do it alone.
I lived all my life in the Galilee, and I didn't have even one Arab friend. And we have so many Arabs around us, and we don't have any bridges or any ways to communicate. And I thought that could be a very good way.
Converting an abandoned dairy shed in his hometown kibbutz into an ice cream factory, Adam decided to find a local partner to bring new tastes to his business.
I just came to his restaurant and said, "Hi, my name is Adam. I want to open a gelato shop in your village, and I'm looking for a local partner." And immediately he said yes.
Together, the two created a range of sorbets and gelatos from rosewater to halva, lychee to apricot, all in a cardamom and cinnamon cone. Wow. But the twist isn't all in the flavor, although it certainly helps.
My inspiration was to, of course, gelato and ice cream and coexistence. It's part of our identity.
This inspiration has even rubbed off on the employees.
I think the joint business is a very good way to bridge the conflict. And regardless, this is proof that it's possible to create things together and to maintain good relations, to create something so amazing like this place. Even the employees here, some are Jewish and some are Arabs, it doesn't matter at all. We're all here together for a common purpose.
At the newest branch in Tel Aviv, some customers are even old faithfuls from the original branch in the Galilee, and they only have one thing to say.
In my opinion, the best gelato in, the country, by far.
We may be a long way off from solving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but one thing everyone can agree, ice cream is a good place to start. After all, who can resist a delicious lick of watermelon?
No, we're taking a closer look now at at what will solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and that is the Booza ice cream. First of all, and we're going to start with what's important. I think it's an amazing endeavor. When it comes to, you and your partner, who's not with us today, his name is? Ala.
Sweetheart.
And how did you guys meet, though?
So, as I said in this, I just came to his restaurant and said, "Hi, my name is Adam. I'm from Sasa. Just came back from Italy, and I want to open an ice cream shop in your village, and I'm looking for an Arab partner." So he said, "Yes, let's do it."
Why can't this work with actors? It's so easy. I'm just thinking that if an Israeli negotiator will walk into, Ramallah and just say, "Hi, my name is Uri. I'd like to make peace. Can we do that?" Right. Yeah. We're going to have to start. First of all, tell me what is special and unique about this coexistent ice cream? I'm being facetious. What is special about the ice cream? Okay. What did you learn in Italy?
So, I think the most important thing in ice cream and gelato is that it has to be fresh. We have to use like fresh ingredients, and we have to do a fresh process, like make the ice cream every day in every store. Yes.
I was saying during the report. Sorry, I'm moving this closer to us. I was saying during the report that it's at first I said, and I was being a cynic because I'm in my 40s and I lived in the Middle East for too long, that this can work only in Tel Aviv because it's the liberal hub of the country. But you said your next stop is Jerusalem.
Yeah, could be Jerusalem, could be Nazareth, could be anywhere else. I'm not afraid to open a shop in a complicated
in complicated areas. Have you guys had any kind of? Has anybody objected? Because there's one also up north in Kiryat Shmona, right? There's you've got a booza up north.
Not to the Jewish Arab thing.
They just don't like pistachio.
Yeah, they're waiting for some other special flavor or something like that.
Okay, you get the kind of complaints that you want to get. Yeah. We're going to have to check this because this cannot melt before.
So we have a lychee.
Where's the lychee? That's what I want to know. This is the lychee?
On top, yes.
Okay, I'm going for. Sorry, that's you, honey.
Okay.
Okay, this is the lychee.
What's the most popular flavor in the shop?
Yeah.
I think it's the Cassiopeia.
Cassiopeia.
And this one is lychee from the Sea of Galilee.
Right.
Wow.
And so we use just like local and fresh fruits. And about the Cassiopeia, it's...
Right, I have to say, this is it? Well, this is Cassio?
No, this one is pomegranate.
Oh, for those of you celebrating Rosh Hashanah.
Yes.
That is really pomegranate. You can really taste it. That is gorgeous. Sorbet.
The lychee is amazing. I have to say. I mean, where were you when I was pregnant? I used to send my husband down at 3 o'clock in the morning to find lychee. And this would have done the job. Yeah. Do we have a show that is still going on?
I forgot what I have to do here.
I have no idea. I think this is amazing. As we said, there's a store in Tel Aviv. In Buza, we're going to be eating this throughout the item. And what was I saying? Right. There's a store in Tel Aviv.
Kiryat Shmona.
And Kiryat Shmona. And go for Jerusalem.
And Tarshiha.
Exactly.
And we have a visitor center in Sasa.
A visitor center?
Yeah.
What does one do in the visitor center?
Ice cream workshops. We teach how to make ice cream at home. We sell raw material for ice cream.
Listen,
you can see the production.
Congratulations, and as we say in the Middle East, sachten. I mean, this is really,
really nice.
Very, very, very nice.
Thank you
It is the time to move to Ami Kaufman and get the ice cream all to myself. To move to Ami Kaufman, you can tell me about the latest viral spiral that is the web review.
Viral spirals.
As I eat my lychee ice cream.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to eat when I show you this next video because you might just want to take a step back because I don't know.
This is fabulous, yeah.
This is a National Geographic video that's kind of getting viral, and it's actually really very relevant to stuff that's going on in Israel. People are really worried now in Tel Aviv about rats because they're digging up Tel Aviv to build this subway and light rail system.
Dude, it's like the East Village in New York.
And just in time, National Geographic put out a video showing how easily a rat can wriggle up your toilet. Let's take a look at this video.
Oh, God. Okay, yes, let's have a look.
How does it collapse its body like that? Take a look at this rat's attempt to get to the other side of the tiny hole. If a rat can fit its head through an opening...
That's how easy it is. Beware.
I know.
I mean, you live in Tel Aviv.
I live in Tel Aviv, but can I just say one thing? Because the studio is now devoid of ice cream.
Which is a horrendous crime.
No, it's even worse than that video. That was amazing ice cream. It took my ice cream, you scream, we all screamed.
While people were watching the rat, we were robbed.
We were robbed of the ice cream.
In broad daylight.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying.
That's what we're caring about. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, moving along.
Enough of rats. This happened last week. Usain Bolt from Jamaica won the 200 men's meter race in Beijing. Everybody knows this.
Yes.
But this video has been going on really viral. It's kind of funny. And what's funny, not only what happened, but it's also I like listen to the Italian sportscaster how he reacts to Usain Bolt being hit by a cameraman.
Let's see Bolt.
Vediamo lo scalzo. Ah, mamma mia!
Mamma mia! Mamma mia! Look at that.
If ever there was a Mamma Mia moment, that is the one. That was Mamma Mia. But did you see that beautiful flip back?
He just got out of it.
He just got out of it, not doing this bolty kind of. I remember.
Yeah, look at that. Ooh, Mamma Mia. Look at that.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. And I love the slate headline: "World's fastest man knocked over by world's most dangerous Segway riding cameraman." That's a great.
Mamma Mia. Yes, we're gonna Mamma Mia. I think at the end of segments in this show. Please.
Right. The Star Wars is coming out pretty soon. New Star Wars movie has a Facebook page, and some nerds and geeks. They really are sometimes really chauvinist. I'll tell you why. This is it. They put up a picture of the Star Wars Facebook page of one of the characters. Her name is Captain Phasma. She's a woman. She's in armor, as you can see. She's actually played by Gwendolyn Christie, who is, if you watch Game of Thrones, she's that tall blonde knight, Brienne of Tarth.
Yes, Brienne of Tarth.
And I love how her name is Gwendolyn. And in real life, she has a name like it's also from Game of Thrones.
Exactly. She's just a princess. And this is her from the film.
This is her. Now,
it's very Darth Vader-ish.
She's apparently part of the Empire.
Okay.
So one of the nerds, I guess, says, as you can see in the tweet, in the Facebook comment, we'll put that up now, not to be sexist, but it's really hard to tell that's female armor for me. Now, listen to the reply from Star Wars, because it is perfect.
Please.
It's armor on a woman. It doesn't have to look feminine. I mean, what was the guy expecting, that the armor was going to have
But I like that. I like that he read it in the right with the right pause. It's armor on a woman. Yeah. But no, I was assuming he expected breasts. He expected breasts.
People think they have to have...
That is how people think. That is how people think. And you'd see, I think maybe that will change when America will have a female president. I just said, moving. Yes.
Vine is a world that I am not really connected to, but it is huge, apparently, because there's a
star... I know, neither am I. Just because of you, I was on vacation, I downloaded an app.
Vine.
The Vine,
you can start watching.
I'm trying to get into it. I'm not.
Some of the stars are Vine are even bigger than stars on YouTube, and they make loads of money, $100,000 a year just for promoting stuff. One of them is this guy called Logan Paul. He put out a crazy video of him. All he does is splits in New York.
Splits in New York. Okay, split Vine. Good.
Connection is available to
No, I love it because he's got the...
I love the way he does the
but crazy. You know what this needs? It needs a Mamma Mia.
It needs a Mamma Mia at the end.
Okay.
Oh, he is crazy.
Yes, only in New York.
He makes a lot of money doing this stuff.
We're in the wrong profession, or we live in a world where somebody who makes a split makes more money than we do, and that can be depressing.
This is just
wrong.
I totally agree with that.
And
school is starting tomorrow, so I brought you two items that are connected to school. In the UK, there is a report out that parents are sending death threats to their children's teachers on social media. 3 out of 4 teachers in the UK have said parents' behavior toward them has become more obnoxious in the last 5 years. There's a poll, they polled 800 teachers in England and Wales. Jeez. And they also revealed that the younger the pupils are, the more verbally aggressive their parents are to their teachers.
No, I mean, that's a segment all on its own. I think it's too much parent involvement in their children's life that we've seen over the course of the last 10 years. That is just
everybody has the WhatsApp group.
The WhatsApp group, too much hands-on parenting. Let kids, when they are in different institutions other than the home, be and face that institution.
Totally.
Thank you. And with those words, I want to wrap the summer vacation. Okay. But when we get back, Miley Cyrus rocks. Wait, we've got more stuff.
We have more stuff. Okay.
Yeah, we have more time.
A teacher was late to school 111 times in 2 years in New Jersey. In 1 year, he was late 46 times, and the other 65 times, and he blames it on breakfast. He ate breakfast too late.
Too late.
And he's not going to be fired. He earns $90,000 a year, by the way. And Governor...
Where is this?
New Jersey. And Governor Christie even reacted to this, who was running for president as a Republican. He tweeted about it. He said, think I'm too tough on the teachers union? This is what we're dealing with in New Jersey. He can't fire someone who is late to school.
To school 111 times. But that goes to the core of the battle between between Christie and the teachers union. Okay.
Do we have time for one quick video? Okay, have you ever heard, there's a new sport out. It's called extreme sunbathing. This guy put a drone out. He was on vacation in Rhode Island, and he wanted to see this windmill that they use for energy. Just to take a look. Lo and behold, he did not know someone on the top of it was sunbathing.
Let's have a look.
There he is.
Yeah, that is crazy. That is crazy.
The man was actually...
How did he get... Okay, there's this little hatch.
He's apparently an engineer. He went up to fix something, and he was lying down actually when the drone started flying. And when that guy heard the drone buzzing above him, he sat up and waved. And there he is. He's waving to the...
Hey! Yes, here I am. Psychotic little me sunbathing. Oh my God!
New sport.
Wow!
Extreme sunbathing.
Between that and splits in New York, sometimes I think the Middle East is not that crazy.
No, this is. America is really up there when it comes to craziness. I think.
No,
definitely.
I truly think that. I don't know if we can play also. Here I am. Maybe we need, before we say goodbye, I think what we need to see is I want to see that split video if we can.
It's fantastic.
No, it's
I could watch that a million times.
We need to say Mamma Mia every time he does a split.
Okay, let's
when we get back though, Miley Cyrus rocks the 2015 MTV Video Music Awards. Yay! Stay with us. First the news. Let's see if we can look at splits. Can we see splits? Yes, come on with the splits. Mamma Mia! Hold on. Good morning, I-24 News Morning Edition on this August 31st, possibly the last days of summer, or so we hope. If you're living in the Levant, I don't care. I've got two gorgeous women in the studio.
Good morning.
Hello. Hello. Giving you compliments. Everybody's like fake smiling at me, whatever.
No, I didn't want to smile because I ate.
My teeth?
Yeah, I ate the thing you brought. The toffee.
The toffee. I brought liquored alcohol. We're all sitting here drunk. But Merav Severe, good to see you.
Good morning.
Sports. Yes. What do you have for us?
The U.S. Open starts today in New York. And of course, Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal, they'll be headlining. But I don't want to talk about them. I want to talk about the women.
Amen. Yes.
It's female dominated today, so we might as well. And
it's
not just for no reason. Serena Williams is coming into this tournament chasing history, hopefully going to make it. And we do have a report about her, so before we get more into details, let's look at what she's trying to do.
Let's take a look.
This morning, the queen of tennis is preparing to play for the ultimate crown.
And next stop, New York.
The elusive Grand Slam. Serena Williams attempting to take all 4 major titles in the same season, a feat of athletic excellence not achieved in nearly 3 decades. And the pressure? So thick, Williams could slice it with her famous serve. But Williams playing it cool in an interview with our Robin Roberts.
So how do you keep it all together as you get closer and closer to the start of the Open?
Well, actually, it's really easy. I don't feel pressure to win here. I feel like I want to win here more than probably anybody. But at the same time, I don't feel that pressure. I felt a lot of pressure in Wimbledon going for the Serena Slam. Getting that 4 in a row, that was interesting.
This year, the 33-year-old has already won the Australian Open, the French Open.
It's a 20th Grand Slam title and counting.
And a nail-biter at Wimbledon.
Serena Williams, Wimbledon champion for a 6th time.
And this week, taking on the U.S. Open. She's won it 6 times before, including each of the last 3 years. Williams now striving not just to win, but to also be grand.
Before we discuss, Merav, how much I love her little tiger outfit, but she's, I said to you off camera now, it's like a freak of nature.
She absolutely,
how old is this woman now?
She's 33 years old, and she's absolutely still at the top of her game, and she's going for a record that it will match Stephanie Graf's 22 major titles and the calendar.
I'm sorry,
Grand Slam.
I'm going to correct you and stop you, Steffi Graf.
Steffi Graf, I'm
okay,
sorry.
Yes, for the
I gotta work. I have to
audience,
work on my accent. That is the one I'm missing. So the last time time somebody completed a calendar Grand Slam was Graf in 1988, 27 years ago.
That.
And she has the chance of doing that again. She did say going in, you heard her saying now, she's not too nervous, but she said, I'm ready. I just want to get it over with. I want to do this. I want to see if I can do this and just...
Yeah,
see if I can win this title.
She can win this title. I can't remember. I can't believe I forgot that Steffi Graf did that. I think it was the highlight. It was Steffi Graf and Boris Becker, Boris Becker of the male. But I think 17 years this woman has been playing.
Yeah, something along those lines. And you know, she's going for the calendar year Grand Slam. All eyes are going to be on her during this tournament. She's absolutely fantastic. You know, her trainer coming in saying, you know, I want her to win this, and he's completely convinced she's going to break records doing it. She will be playing against Russia's world number 88, Vitalia Dyachenko, and that will be at starting at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight.
7 p.m. Eastern.
I believe that's 11 o'clock GMT for anybody who wants to watch it. So that's going to be the headline of today.
It's actually the transformation of the sports also too, because what we know about tennis, as Chen just said, mainly around the world, we know Serena Williams. It's become somewhat of a female sport.
We kind of also, just to remind people, her sister's also playing.
Exactly, Venus.
There is another one. She will also be playing.
I have to say this, I'm so glad I'm not Venus.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Being the other
Stephen Baldwin.
Exactly. Yes.
Stephen Baldwin, or what's his name?
Well, any other of the Baldwin brothers.
And so one player who won't be playing, and now it's become a discussion whether or not this will help or hurt Serena, is Maria Sharapova. She announced overnight at our time that she will not be playing because of an injury. She actually did make her way over to New York. She was there, and then she announced on her Facebook page saying, and I quote, I have done everything possible to be ready, but it was just not enough time. And so she's going to sit out this tournament, world number 3. She's going to sit out, and she's hoping she can come back in a few weeks, but that's also something to be determined. So now the conversation is whether or not this is good for Serena to have her out of her way, or can this bring about somebody else who may be, a Cinderella story who can knock out Serena.
We never know, but this is something definitely to be watched.
All right, and the next thing we're going to is the World Athletics Championships that ended yesterday. So just a quick medal wrap-up. Kenya and Jamaica actually tied for the most gold medals with 7, but Kenya took the overall because they had more overall medals than Jamaica. The U.S. actually had the overall medals. They had 6 gold, 6 bronze, and 6 silver.
Wow.
But one of the bigger stories to come out of it was Mo Farah, at the end of the championships, winning what's called the triple-double.
The triple-double?
It's something. It's a term that's usually kept for basketball, but the triple-double basically means that he won the 5,000 and the 10,000 3 times in a row. So he did it in the 2012 Olympics, he did it in the 2013 World Athletic Championships, and he did it again in 2015.
It's almost a Serena Williams kind of move.
It's history. So he actually, now she's got to match up to him, making history with another, with the calendar Grand Slam, but people are talking about it, absolutely amazing, and we do have actually a reaction from him about what he did.
Let's have a listen.
Performance was good. I'm really happy to make the double, to make history and win medals for my country. It's incredible. Yeah, no, I save as much energy as I can and work at the race and cover every move. And that was always important. But I'm just a bit surprised as to how the race came down. I thought it was going to be a lot faster early on, but it was good. It suited me.
I think under the dictionary definition of light and lean.
Yes. And usually people, when you're talking about track and field and running, you talk about Usain Bolt because Usain Bolt is the big one. But look at what Mo Farah is doing. Somewhat under the radar, but not really, because everybody still knows who he is.
Everybody knows who he is, but I'm glad that you said it, because I think there's like this instant gratification of what Bolt does in the short distance
Exactly,
runs.
That he's known as the fastest man in the world, but I would like to put them against each other.
And the 5,000, 10,000, runs are incredibly
absolutely incredible.
hard.
So he's doing it again, and unfortunately his name was also, they're talking about, when you're talking about athletics and track and field, there's so much talk about doping that some people said maybe nothing's proven, nothing's been checked even, but his name has also come up with it, and as a fan of the sports, I really hope that he is not involved in anything of the sort.
Definitely. But things to watch and fascinating stuff. I actually understand sports when Rob explains it. Thank you. Locked in
That's
studio.
what I'm here for.
Exactly. Locked in studio 4. The one and only Chen Lieberman, a culture contributor and singer. Yes. I'm glad I remembered.
Just because we can't pay royalties.
No. But as culture contributor, you have some breaking news. You've got breaking news
we have some bad breaking news. Wes Craven, creator of Nightmare on Elm Street and the Scream franchise, the horror maestro, is dead at 76. He died from brain cancer. But that's a good time to talk about what he did, what he contributed to the genre. He actually invented the youth horror genre, which means, you know, that culture in which teenage boys think they can take a girl to the movies to a scary movie, and then...
And not only that, the teenage, I think, and we saw it in Scream because he was making fun of it, but the teenage, you know, horror drama where you are not allowed to actually have sex on screen or you will be one of the people killed in the movie. You know, there's that, yes.
So he started out in on a porn set because he was trying to get funds for his next film after his first film was so appalling that nobody wanted to fund his films. So he worked on porn sets. He was even he even participated once, but not nude.
Really?
And that's how he funded Nightmare on Elm Street. Later on went to Scream. Yes, that makes sense in a way. That you know, it's not that far.
Some will refer to sex as horrific.
It's some way of porn. It's some sort of
maybe
porn, I guess.
Maybe that's something to do with why you can't have sex on screen in this horror movie.
Exactly.
Yes,
maybe that is the thing.
No more porn for me. I'm done with that.
Because every character it's the characters of Nightmare on Elm Street, whenever they had any kind of, you know, teenage wrong thoughts, they ended up chopped up.
Yeah, so it's like it's an educational horror.
An educational horror film.
Like that's what happens to you if you have sex.
Abstinence.
Puritan horror genre.
But Scream was phenomenal. I think the first Scream was great.
And that's because he not only his scare tactics, but also his humor. That's what made these films mainstream and not just horror films. Everybody knows these films. So so he died at 76. But it's a good time to reminisce.
And to take a look at his career.
Yes.
Yes.
And now let's move to the VMAs. It's also breaking news because it happened tonight, the Video Music Awards.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, Kanye West declared that he's running for president in 2020.
I believe the quote was, if Donald Trump can do it, I can do it, or something.
You know what? He's right. He's right.
He's totally right.
And now he's married to Kardashian. He's a reality TV star. It fits.
Completely right.
Kim Kardashian will be the first lady of the U.S. Congratulations.
I want to tell people, we keep making fun of it, but this is a scenario that might happen because Trump is still running and, oh my God, look at these people. Wow. Isn't she? Yeah, she's pregnant with East.
And now you see Taylor Swift, the biggest star of the night, as usual. I'm just waiting. 3. She was born in 1989. I know that because that's the name of her latest album. I'm just waiting for the moment where something. Not something bad happens, but I mean,
like in this bubble,
something bad is said about her, or something bad is found out about her, because I'm kind of sick of that perfect image.
Like, how perfect can a girl be? She's a brilliant businesswoman. She's, you know, incredibly successful. I'm partial to her music, but I'm an oldie. And oh my word, yes.
She's too good to be true. So let's talk about the songs that won.
Please.
Okay, we can show them. I'll sing it, and you'll guess the artist.
I'm a little shocked I just saw Britney Spears on screen.
Okay, video of the year. Video of the year. Now we got bad blood. You know we used to have bad fun. You know we used to have.
I don't know none of her songs.
Because baby, now we got bad blood. Yeah. Now we got problems.
So that one.
And I don't think we can solve
I'm not going to sing that. Nobody wants to hear that.
You made a really big cut. And baby, now we got bad blood. Yeah. Taylor Swift. And Kendrick Lamar. You said it. I just wanted to continue.
You got to keep your day job, honey.
Okay. And male video. Male video.
Are you going to dance this? You got to dance this song.
Funk you up. Uptown, funk you up.
That one. Yes.
Uptown, funk you up. Uptown, funk you up.
I know this one.
Uptown, funk you up.
That thing with the hands.
Don't believe me, just watch.
Okay, yes.
Bruno Mars and Mark Ronson. I'm not embarrassed. Are you embarrassed? I'm not embarrassed.
I'm enjoying watching you dance and try to sing along.
And one more, female video of the year. We had video of the year. We had male video. Now we have female video. I got a blank space, baby, and I'll write your name. Boys only want love if it's torture.
I know this song. I don't know who sings it.
Don't say I didn't say I
didn't
warn
Taylor
you.
I have no idea which one.
Taylor Swift, Blank Space.
Why didn't It's All About the Bass win?
I think it's like last year's. Oh, that's cute.
I'm so pathetic.
Now you have to sing all about that bass.
All about that bass.
Now you have to
I
sing
ain't
it.
no size 2, but I can shake it like I'm supposed to do. I'm going to stop here. Yes!
Okay, let's talk about Hollywood and China's financial turmoil. So you would think that
Coming
Hollywood...
from you, yes. Yes. The Chinese financial turmoil.
Coming from me.
Coming from a cultural correspondent, yes.
On the financial turmoil in China. So you would think that Hollywood executives would be stressed about it because China is the second biggest market for Hollywood films.
True.
But actually, they're kind of happy about it because the market there, the film market, is still growing. And when there is financial turmoil, people usually turn to the movies. That's their way of entertainment. That's like the cheap entertainment.
No, actually, you know what? This was during the Depression days. I'm not kidding.
Exactly.
In the States, in the 30s, that the people, that's the only thing they spend money on.
The movies were blossoming. Now,
Escape. Yeah.
And one proof for that is Terminator Genesis, a Hollywood flick that was a big disappointment in the box office in the U.S. And people thought it's going to be a crash hit.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's a big hit in China. It made $24 million in its first weekend. It's not a lot for the U.S., but in China it's still considered a lot.
That's quite
$24 million. So if you thought that maybe Hollywood will understand finally after all these really bad box office hits or alleged hits, after all these disappointments, maybe they'll figure out maybe people don't want it anymore. No.
Who cares?
You have people that want it. They're in China, and that's where they're going to go with these films. However, the collaboration between China and Hollywood will bring about censorship from Hollywood, and that's interesting because you're not going to see any more Chinese villains or even Asian villains. You don't see them anymore because they don't want to upset the Chinese because they're their new target market.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah, no, and I love, well, you know, that puts the different spin on that old saying, "Made in China." But yes, the fascinating stuff, I gotta say.
Do we have one more?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so Carl Jean Baptiste, that's a tragic story. He was the first black actor.
Because God forbid you come in with a story that is happy. Yes.
We started out with bad news. We went to some singing. We go back, wrapping it up. So he was just a month ago. He made history as the first black actor to play Jean Valjean in Les Mis. And he died. He's only 21. He fell off a staircase at his mom's house. So that's tragic. A tragedy, and that's where we're going to end.
And I remember actually, you know, the reports about him in Les Mis. Thank you for that somber note, Mirav. I'm going to turn to you and smile. Yeah, no. I know.
Serena plays tonight.
We have no time left, sadly, but do join us tomorrow for another edition of the Morning Edition. I-24 News, the place you should be because you get to see Chen Lieberman sing, and of course, Mirav Savir. That makes sports sound actually understandable. That was it. Stay tuned. I-24 News. Bye-bye.